My brother used my address to open a $7,500 loan in my name, so I let him think he got away with it, until the court summons hit his doorstep. You know that moment when you feel like something's off, but you can't explain why? That's exactly how I felt the day I opened a letter I didn't remember signing up for, and found out someone had taken out a $7,500 personal loan, in my name, using my address. And it wasn't just identity theft from a stranger or some hacker halfway across the world. No, it was my older brother, Aaron. And honestly, if I hadn't been nosy, like extra nosy, he probably would have walked away clean, thinking he was the smartest guy in the room. But let me rewind real quick and give you the context, because this wasn't just about a loan. This was about years of BS manipulation and blind spots I didn't even know I had. The loan was just the final straw. Growing up, Aaron was the golden child. Like, no exaggeration. My parents practically threw a parade when he got a B- in algebra. Me? I could bring home a 4.0, a varsity letter, and a trophy, and they'd be like, cool, but did you remember to take the chicken out the freezer? He was 2 years older, super charismatic, always had that just trust me energy, even when he was absolutely full of it. And I, naively, embarrassingly, did trust him. 4 years. He used to borrow money from my allowance and say he'd Venmo it back. He never did. He'd take my car in high school and say he needed it for something urgent and come back at 2 a.m. reeking of weed and Taco Bell. But every time I got mad, my mom would say, "That's your big brother. Don't be petty." And Aaron would do this little fake pout thing, wrap an arm around my shoulder and go, "Come on, you know I love you, right?" It worked every time. Flash forward to last fall. I'm living in a modest one-bedroom apartment, working full-time in marketing, paying my bills, keeping my head down. Aaron, on the other hand, is still chasing entrepreneurial dreams. Last I heard, he was launching a podcast/clothing line/crypto project. Spoiler, none of them made money. I hadn't talked to him in months. Not because of a fight or anything, but just distance. We were on different planets, honestly. Then out of nowhere, I get this envelope in the mail. Thick. No return address. It's from a loan company. My heart immediately drops. I open it and right there, bold font, all caps, is a notice about a past due balance on a $7,500 loan I supposedly took out 2 months ago. Y'all, my stomach flipped. I'm super careful with my credit. I check it like it's my horoscope. There's no way I took out a loan. So I double-check the name, my full legal name, my address, even my phone number, but the email listed? It's one I don't use. It's close to mine, but with an extra period and a number at the end, like someone almost got it right, or maybe someone was pretending to be me. That's when the paranoia kicked in. My brain starts spiraling. Did I get hacked? Did I accidentally apply for something and forget? I log into my Experian account. Boom. There it is. Personal loan. Div. Been 2 months ago, and it's already flagged as 30 days late. Like what the F? I sit there on my kitchen floor, laptop open, letters shaking in my hand, and start retracing every possible step. That's when I remember something weird from 3 months ago. Aaron had randomly asked me to text him a picture of a piece of mail I got at my place. He said it was just a verification thing from some bank he was switching to. I thought it was odd at the time but didn't press. I didn't even open it. Just snapped the photo like he asked. It had his name on the envelope but my address. You guys, I wish I could say I put it together instantly, but I didn't. Took me another 2 days, one freak-out call to my best friend Layla, and a 3-hour rabbit hole of Googling loan fraud before it finally clicked. Aaron used my address. He opened a loan in my name and didn't say a word. The audacity should be illegal. Actually, it is. But get this, I didn't even confront him right away. I could have called him screaming. I could have called my mom. I could have even called the cops. But instead, I started documenting everything. Emails, phone calls with the loan company, my credit report entries. All of it. 'Cause I knew Aaron. If I said something now, he'd gaslight the crap out of me. He'd spin it like it was a mix-up or a favor or even blame me for giving him access. So I decided to play it cool. Let him think he got away with it. Let him feel real secure. 'Cause when that court summons finally hit his doorstep, I wanted the look on his face to be priceless. Before I spill exactly how I turned my brother's little secret loan into his worst nightmare, I'd love to know, what city, state, or country are you watching from today? Drop it in the comments below. And if stories about letting karma do its thing make your day, hit that like button and consider subscribing so you never miss the next one. Thank you and let's keep going. Okay, so after the initial freak out, I decided to breathe. I lit a candle, sat on my bed, and told myself, you're not crazy. You're just dealing with a full-blown identity theft situation from your own brother. Love that for me. So first thing I did, I called the loan company. And y'all, the way my voice was shaking, I sounded like a middle schooler asking for a refund on a field trip. The rep was polite but super corporate. I gave them the account number from the letter and explained that I never took out this loan. They asked for verification, obviously. I gave everything, full name, SSN, current address, phone, all of it. And then she said, okay, just a moment while I pull up the application. I was sweating. And then she goes, looks like the loan was taken out online. Everything matches what you just said except for the email address and employer. Employer? I ask her what company was listed. She says, Brother Built Ventures. I almost choked. That's the same fake company Aaron was bragging about launching on Instagram like 6 months ago. He even made a logo on Canva and slapped it on a hoodie. I thought it was just another one of his little side projects. So this dude didn't just open a loan in my name, he used his own fake company as my employer. Like bro, the levels of stupidity? Olympic. Anyway, I asked for the email address again, and yup, it's the same one I vaguely remember seeing before when he was trying to get verification stuff mailed to my place. One letter off from mine. Super intentional. She also tells me the loan money was deposited into a Chase account under the same name as the application. Mine. So either Aaron opened a bank account in my name too, or he somehow got them to believe it was me with his info. That's when my stomach dropped again. This wasn't just sketchy. This was fraud. I hung up and immediately filed a fraud report. With the loan company. With my bank. With Experian. I even froze my credit. I wasn't about to have this BS follow me into buying a car or, I don't know, existing as an adult. Then came the screenshots. I screenshotted everything. Every email, every alert. I opened up an entire Google Drive folder called Aaron Fraud Receipts. Petty? Maybe. Necessary? Absolutely. And you know what really hit me while doing all that? This wasn't just a dumb mistake. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew it was my address. He knew he needed access to my personal info. He literally asked me to send that pic of the envelope so he could use it for verification. Like, this was premeditated. And that hurt more than anything. Because I've always been that understanding little sister. The one who forgave too fast. The one who loaned money, kept secrets, covered for him. And this? This was how he repaid that? Nah. So now I had a decision to make. Option A, confront him directly. Option B, go nuclear. I picked option C, let him bury himself. See, if I called him out now, he'd lie. He'd guilt-trip me. He'd say it was just temporary or that he meant to pay it back before I noticed or that I was making a big deal. But if I waited, if I let the debt go into collections, let the fraud report escalate, let the legal process run its course, he'd get served. And he wouldn't even see it coming. Meanwhile, I kept everything quiet. I acted totally normal in the family group chat, commented on mom's casserole photos, sent a happy birthday text to my aunt. I didn't want him to suspect I knew. Layla, my best friend, was the only person who knew. She was the one who said, "Girl, let karma marinate," and it stuck with me. I wasn't about to start yelling. I was about to let the system do the yelling for me. Then one random Tuesday, I get an alert from the fraud claim portal. The loan company had accepted my report. They were officially flagging the account as fraudulent and opening an investigation. And because I'd already filed a police report and ID theft affidavit through the FTC, they had everything they needed to move forward, which meant they were going after whoever opened the account. And I knew exactly where the trail would lead. Right to Aaron. But here's the twist. I didn't give them his name. I didn't have to, because he used his fake company name and had the funds routed to a bank account with an IP address that matched his location. So yeah, bro built his own rope. I just let him tie the knot. Plot gets even dumber. Because Aaron, he tried to do it again. So you'd think after getting away with fraud once, barely, a halfway intelligent person would lie low, right? Not Aaron. 2 weeks after I filed that fraud claim, while I'm still biting my nails waiting on legal fallout, this man has the actual nerve to try it again. I swear to you, my life turned into one of those scam detective YouTube videos, except I was living it in real time. Here's what happened. I got home from work late one night. It was a Friday. I remember that specifically because I had Chipotle and zero plans, and I noticed something weird in my mailbox. A thick envelope. From a different loan company this time. My heart immediately sank. I hadn't even opened it yet, but I already knew. I go upstairs, kick off my shoes, sit down on the couch, and open it like I'm peeling a bandage off my soul. And sure enough, another loan. Smaller this time, $3,000, but same pattern. Addressed to me. Same name, same address, and different email again. I flip the letter over and start cross-referencing every little detail. The loan was approved 3 days ago, which meant the application had been submitted sometime last week. Now, here's where things got interesting. That exact week, Aaron had texted me something super random. He'd said, "Hey, you still at that same address or did you move?" The time, I thought he was just trying to reconnect or whatever. I even responded with, "Yeah, same place." Bro, he wasn't trying to catch up. He was verifying that I still lived there so he could fraud me again. This time, though, I wasn't confused. I wasn't even mad. I was laser-focused. I grabbed my laptop, called Layla, and we spent the next 45 minutes doing the most FBI-style cross-check you've ever seen. She helped me dig through Aaron's old email handles. We pulled up his LLC filing for Brother-Built Ventures from last year because yes, he tried to make it legit once and abandoned it when it got hard. We even found his public business profile with his burner contact email, and guess what? Matched the one used on this second loan. Boom. Proof. Real time. No maybe. No what if. He tried it again and I caught him red-handed. And you want to know the most delusional part? That night, the same night I opened the second loan letter, Aaron called me. Yup. Phone rang. Aaron on the screen. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Wanna guess what it said? "Hey, just checking in. Haven't heard from you in a bit. Hope everything's good. We should get lunch soon, it's been too long. Let me know." Lunch? Y'all, this man committed double identity fraud and wanted to split mozzarella sticks like nothing happened. I felt sick. because that's who he was. He'd always been that guy, smooth, charming, and completely detached from consequences. I think he believed he'd never get caught, that I'd just roll over. Again. But not this time. This time, I forwarded everything to the investigator from the first loan case. Attached the new loan letter, the matching email, the voicemail, yep, transcribed that too, and a timeline. The investigator got back to me fast. He basically said, "Thank you for providing additional evidence. This strengthens the ongoing case." And then, one sentence that made my whole body light up: "We'll be forwarding this to the local authorities handling the summons." I had a flash forward to Aaron opening his door, barefoot, smug, probably wearing a hoodie with his fake company name on it, and getting handed legal paperwork that said, "You are being sued for identity theft, loan fraud, and criminal misrepresentation." All I could think was, good, let him explain that over lunch. But wait, there's more. 'Cause you know how every time you think a story's reached the final twist, life decides to throw one more curveball? Yeah, a few days after that my mom called me, and what she said changed everything. At first, everything seems normal. She asks how work is going, if I've tried that new Korean barbecue spot she keeps raving about, says she misses me. You know, all the usual warm and fluffy mom stuff. But then her tone shifts. There's this long pause, and then she goes, "Have you talked to your brother recently?" Instant chills. Because we both know what she's really asking. I play it cool. I'm like, "Nah, not really." And she sighs. Like a deep world-weary. I hate that I have to be the one to say this kind of sigh. Then she says, "He's been going through a hard time, and I think he might have made some poor choices. Just don't do anything rash, okay?" And I'm sitting there, frozen, mouth open. 'Cause now it's crystal clear. She knows. Not only does she know something shady went down, she's already chosen a side. And spoiler, it's not mine. I don't say anything right away. I just let the silence build. Then I go, "What exactly are we talking about, Mom?" And she hesitates. Then finally she goes, "He mentioned he might have used your address for something. I told him that wasn't okay, but he promised he'd fix it. He just needs time." Needs time? Y'all, he stole my identity. Took out 2 loans under my name. And she's talking about him like he missed curfew or forgot to do the dishes. I actually had to close my eyes to stop myself from screaming. So I say, "Do you understand this could have ruined my credit? That this is illegal? That I could have gone to jail if this escalated the wrong way?" And she goes, "You're overreacting. It's just money." I swear I felt something snap inside me. Because this wasn't the first time my mom had done this. She'd always defended Aaron. Always found a way to minimize what he did and magnify how I reacted. When we were kids and he stole from my piggy bank, she said I should have been more generous. When he dented my first car and blamed it on a mystery truck that didn't exist, she said, "Let it go, cars get scratched." It was always me being too sensitive, too cold, not understanding. And now, even with criminal fraud on the table, she's still making excuses. So I said, "You know what? It's fine. I already filed a fraud report. Case is open. Court date is coming. But let the system handle it." And that's when she finally panicked. Her voice dropped an octave and got all whispery like she was covering the phone with her hand. "You didn't have to do that. That's your brother. You know how this could ruin his life. He tried to ruin mine." Dead silence. And then she hit me with the line I'll never forget. "Well, family should protect each other, not throw each other to the wolves." I almost dropped the phone. Let's unpack that for a second. Family should protect each other. So me protecting myself? That doesn't count? Me refusing to let someone commit federal crimes with my name attached? That's throwing someone to the wolves? It took everything in me not to scream. Then maybe he shouldn't have forged my signature, Mom. But instead I just said, I protected him my whole life. Once. Just once. I'm protecting myself. And you can be mad about that if you want to. And then I hung up. Didn't wait for her to respond. Didn't need another guilt trip. I was done. Deep down, I always knew Aaron was capable of this crap. But my mom, I really thought she'd be on my side for once. And realizing she wasn't, that's what broke me. It was realizing that in our family, loyalty only went one way. And it wasn't toward me. The next day, she sent me a wall of texts. "You know I love you both. This isn't what your father would have wanted. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive." And then my favorite one. "He's your only brother. Don't burn bridges you can't rebuild." Girl, he lit the match, I just let it burn. But little did I know, the bridge wasn't the only thing about to go up in flames. Because a week later, the court summons hit Aaron's doorstep. And what he did next, even I didn't see coming. So it finally happened. The summons hit his door. I got the notification on a Tuesday, a little ping from the court system portal letting me know that the documents had officially been delivered. No delays. No rescheduling. They handed it directly to him. Like, handed it to him in person. I imagined the moment. Aaron opening the door, thinking it was Uber Eats or maybe some package from one of his 40 side hustles, only to get smacked in the face with words like plaintiff, fraudulent activity, and court appearance required. And part of me thought that would be the end of it. That he'd finally realized the gig was up and just disappear. Nope, not Aaron. Instead, he showed up at my apartment. Let me paint the picture. I'm in my sweats, messy bun, no bra, watching some dumb reality show and eating chocolate chips straight from the bag. You know, classic Tuesday night stuff. There's a knock at my door. I'm not expecting anyone, so I peek through the peephole, and there he is. Aaron, holding a gift basket. I could not make this up if I tried. A literal gift basket, wrapped in cellophane, ribbon on top, looked like something from Whole Foods' passive-aggressive section. My jaw dropped. I didn't open the door right away. I stood there, just staring through the peephole like I was watching a zoo animal. After a few seconds, he knocked again and said, "Hey, I know you probably don't want to see me, but I just wanted to talk." Talk? You want to talk? After committing identity fraud? After trying to run off with my credit score and $10,000 in loans? You brought me trail mix and sparkling cider and you think we're just gonna talk? But here's the thing. I opened the door, not because I was ready to forgive him, but because I wanted to look him in the eye and see if he'd even try to lie to my face. Spoiler, he did. He walks in like it's any other day, sets the gift basket on my counter and says, "I just wanted to clear the air. This whole thing's gotten blown way out of proportion. So me being sued in your place was just a little misunderstanding? Blown out of proportion," he says. I cross my arms and say nothing, just stare. He fidgets, then goes, "Okay, yes, I used your address, but it wasn't to scam you. I was just trying to get approved for a loan. You know how hard it is when you're self-employed. It was only temporary. I was gonna change it after. Bro, you put my name on it, not just my address, my legal name, my SSN, my identity." So I say, "So your plan was to use my identity, take the money, and eventually do what? Pay it back and hope no one noticed?" And you know what he says? "It was never about the money. I was just in a bad place." A bad place? A bad place is eating expired ramen and crying in a Target parking lot. A bad place is not committing a felony using your sister's name and then showing up with a basket of pistachios and pity vibes. I tell him straight up, "You don't get to spin this into a sob story, Aaron. You stole from me. You committed fraud. You lied. You put me in real danger." And y'all, this man had the nerve to tear up, like a soap opera. And then he goes, "I just didn't know what else to do. Everything's been falling apart and you always had it together. I thought, I don't know, maybe this wouldn't hurt you. Wouldn't hurt me? So what, I'm not a person now? Just a convenient identity?" I looked at him and said, "You thought this wouldn't hurt me because you've never had to deal with consequences. Not once. And now? You will." And then I opened my door, pointed and said, "Get out." He stood there for a second like he was waiting for some kind of dramatic reconciliation moment. But nope, just me, hand on the door, holding the boundary he never thought I'd enforce. He picked up the basket like I was gonna change my mind. I didn't. That night, I sat on my couch and stared at that gift basket, still unopened, and thought, this man really thought pistachios and a sad speech were enough to undo federal crimes. But you know what the wildest part is? The story wasn't over, because the court date was just 2 weeks away, and someone else showed up to it, someone I never expected. So, court day. 2 weeks after Aaron showed up with that ridiculous gift basket, I found myself sitting on a cold bench outside the county courthouse, knees bouncing, palms sweating, and heart pounding like I was the one on trial. Spoiler, I wasn't. But the trauma of it all? Yeah, that hits different. I had my documents, my folder of screenshots, the email chains, the fraud reports, everything. Layla even made me a spreadsheet, color-coded, 'cause she's the real MVP. And as I sat there trying to regulate my breathing, I told myself, this is it. Just tell the truth. Let them see who he really is. What I didn't expect, my mom showing up, in his corner. Let me back up for a second. Technically, this wasn't a criminal trial. Not yet, at least. It was a civil hearing, first step in the process. But the paper trail was stacked, and if the judge ruled in my favor, it would open the door for criminal charges and further restitution. So yeah, it was serious. I got called in first, swore in, sat at the table, and about 5 minutes into giving my side of the story, walking through the documents, the forged emails, the loan statements under my name, the fake employer info, the courtroom door creaked open. I turned my head and there she was, my mother, right behind Aaron, clutching her purse like she was headed to brunch, sitting down next to him like they were teammates. I can't explain the feeling. It was like getting punched in the chest, but slower, more humiliating. Because not only was my brother trying to spin this narrative that he was struggling and meant no harm, now my own mom was there to co-sign it. The judge asked Aaron to speak next. And you already know, he went full performance mode. He stood there, all tragic and fidgety, saying things like, "I made a mistake. I panicked. I never meant to hurt my sister." Then he drops this. "I just needed help. I didn't think she'd report me. I thought she'd understand. We're family." Family? That word was getting tossed around like a deflection grenade. Like being related somehow cancels out fraudulent activity. Then he turns to the judge and says, "I've already tried to make amends. I brought her a peace offering. I apologized. I just want to move forward." I almost laughed. "A peace offering? Sir, you brought me crackers and sparkling cider. That's not a peace offering, that's a Trader Joe's starter pack." Then the judge asked if anyone else wanted to speak on Aaron's behalf. And of course my mom stood up. She walked to the front and said, "Your Honor, if I may, I just want to say that my son is not a criminal. He made a bad decision, yes, but he's a good man. He loves his sister. And our family has been going through a lot lately. She said that last part like I wasn't part of that family. Then she kept going. He's been trying to turn his life around. He's working on himself. We just think this has gone far enough. Listen, she wasn't just supporting him, she was actively minimizing what he did. Standing there in a court of law trying to reduce identity theft and loan fraud to a family squabble. I wanted to scream. When it was my turn to respond, I looked the judge in the eye and said, "With all due respect, Your Honor, this wasn't just a mistake. This was intentional. My name, my social security number, my credit. He didn't just use my address. He stole my identity twice. And if I hadn't caught it, I'd be $10,000 in debt and ruined financially. He lied. He manipulated. And now he's using our family to guilt me out of protecting myself." Then I turned to my mom, and I said, in front of everyone, and for the record, the fact that my own mother showed up to defend the person who violated me says more than anything I could. The silence in that courtroom? Deafening. The judge didn't respond right away. Just nodded, took notes, and then said he'd be reviewing everything and issuing a decision within the week. I walked out first. Didn't look back. 'Cause honestly, that moment felt like closure already. Not just legally, but emotionally. Like I'd finally stopped trying to prove my worth to people who only showed up when it was convenient. But here's where it gets even messier, because the week after the hearing I got a call from Aaron's ex-girlfriend, and she had receipts. So 1 week after court, I'm minding my business, finally starting to feel like I could breathe again, when I get this totally random DM on Instagram. It's from someone named Kelsey. The first line, "Hey, you don't know me, but I used to date your brother. I think you need to see something." Oh boy. Cue the heart rate spike. I click on her profile, nothing weird. Just a normal-looking girl, maybe late 20s. Some beach pics, some iced coffee, a gym selfie or two. And I'll be honest, I hesitated for a second. Because when someone starts with, "I used to date your brother," it can go a lot of ways. But curiosity got the best of me. I responded, "What's this about?" She replies almost instantly, "It's about the loan stuff. I didn't know until recently, but once I found out he used your info, I felt sick. I had no idea how far it went until I saw the court post." "What court post?" I asked her. She sends a screenshot of a Reddit thread. Apparently, someone had posted anonymously in our /legal advice asking, "What happens if I accidentally use my sister's info for a loan but she finds out and reports me?" Girl. Post was his. It was vague, like my sibling instead of saying sister, and loan mistake instead of identity theft, but the writing, the timeline, the specifics, identical to what I'd been through. I sat there rereading it like 5 times, each time with more and more disgust crawling up my spine. Kelsey said she found the post by accident because she was looking up legal help for her friend, and something about it felt too familiar. She recognized the tone, the details, even a weird typo Aaron always made. The word definitely with an A. I could barely keep up with the messages coming in after that. Screenshots, voice memos, old texts. Turns out Aaron had done this before. Not to the same level, but he'd used Kelsey's credit once when they were still together, to apply for a business grant. Told her it was a joint venture. Promised her he'd handle everything. She believed him. It wasn't until after they broke up that she realized her score had tanked. He never paid it off. Never even told her it was in her name. And guess what? He ghosted her when she confronted him. Blocked. Disappeared. Left her with $2,300 of debt she had to crawl out of on her own. She said, quote, "He always had this way of making you feel like you owed him something. Like he was doing you a favor just by including you." Yup. Sounds exactly like my brother. One of the texts she sent, I legit had to read it twice. Aaron had messaged her, back when they were still together, saying, "If things go sideways, I'll just say it was a mix-up. My family always bails me out anyway. My family always bails me out anyway." Girl, when I tell you I almost threw my phone across the room, because that, right there, was the truth. He knew he could manipulate people. He counted on it. He wasn't just impulsive. He was strategic. He knew how to play the victim. He knew how to weaponize guilt. And the second someone pushed back, he vanished. Kelsey told me she'd been following the case ever since someone leaked a court filing because small town plus big mouth equals no secrets, and when she saw that I was the one he scammed next, she felt physically sick. She said, "I didn't say anything back then because I was embarrassed, but I wish I had. Maybe this wouldn't have happened to you." I told her, "This isn't your fault. He knew exactly what he was doing. You're not alone." And then she asked something that caught me totally off guard. "Would you be okay with me testifying if this goes to trial?" I froze. Because up until then, I had assumed no one in Aaron's life would hold him accountable, especially not someone who used to love him. But Kelsey wasn't playing anymore, and neither was I. The next day, I called the court clerk, told them I had additional evidence, possible witness, more documentation proving a pattern of behavior. They added it to the file. The final twist came 2 days later, 'cause after weeks of silence, my mom called again. And what she said broke every last illusion I still had about loyalty. This time, no small talk, no casserole updates, no weather chit-chat. Her voice was cold, like freezer section frozen. And the first thing she says, "We need to talk about the court situation. You need to end it." I blinked, put her on speaker so I could pace. "End what?" I asked, even though I knew exactly what she meant. She didn't even hesitate. The case, the drama, all of it. He's your brother. This has gone on long enough. Y'all, I legit had to laugh just to keep from exploding. Because what did she mean, long enough? Long enough that he only ruined part of my life? Long enough that it's now inconvenient for her social circle? I took a deep breath and said, he committed a crime, Mom. Multiple. I'm not dropping anything. And then she said the line that, I swear, felt like someone sucker punched me in the ribs. If you go through with this, don't bother coming home again. Silence. And I stood there in my apartment, heart racing, jaw clenched, trying to decide if I was going to cry or just throw up. 'Cause for so long I kept telling myself, she doesn't mean it like that. She just doesn't understand. She's stuck in denial. But this was intentional. This was a choice. So I asked her, is that really the kind of mother you want to be? One who cuts off her daughter for protecting herself. And she had the nerve to say, I raised you to be loyal. And this public spectacle, it's tearing our family apart. Public spectacle? Ma'am, your son stole my identity and tried to rob me blind twice, and I'm the one causing the spectacle? Girl, I literally said out loud, you know what? Fine. And she goes, what do you mean, fine? And I said, if protecting myself means I'm not welcome in your house anymore, then I guess I'm not welcome. She hung up. No goodbye. No resolution. Just click. After that call, I blocked her number. Not forever, just until I could breathe without feeling like I was suffocating under guilt and family politics. I forwarded the last of the evidence to the legal team, filed a supplemental witness statement for Kelsey, and then I sat down and did something I hadn't done in a long, long time. I applied for a passport. 'Cause screw it, maybe I was gonna take that solo trip to Spain Layla and I always talked about. Maybe I was done letting other people's messes shape my life. 1 week later, I got the court's final decision. Aaron was found liable. The judge ruled in my favor, full damages including legal fees and a recommendation for criminal charges pending investigation. But here's the final twist. Because of the judgment, Aaron's wages are now garnished. And guess who called me last week? Mom. Her voicemail said, he's struggling. Can't you just let it go now? He needs support. I didn't respond. 'Cause honestly, I gave him more than enough chances. And if this is what it finally took for him to face reality, so be it. So here we are. A few months later, Aaron's wages are still being garnished. He's moved back in with one of his old friends, at least that's what Layla heard through the grapevine, and my mom? Well, she's still not speaking to me. And I've stopped reaching out, because I realized something that honestly should have clicked years ago. Love without accountability is just manipulation with a nicer name. The other day I was cleaning out my closet, finally doing that spring reset thing I swore I'd do 3 seasons ago. I found a dusty bag on the top shelf and pulled it down. And inside, that gift basket, still wrapped, still sealed, pistachios, crackers, that one sad bottle of sparkling apple cider, all untouched. And I laughed, like genuinely laughed, 'cause wow, that was his idea of reconciliation. A decorative snack collection and a fake apology. But here's the funny part, I didn't throw it out. I opened it, emptied it, and now I use the basket to store my court docs. All the paperwork, the ruling, the evidence, the statements, even the copy of the witness summary Kelsey sent me. All of it sits right there, in the same stupid wicker basket he brought into my home like it could undo a felony. And every time I see it, I smile. People still ask me if I regret going through with it, if I wish I had just let it go, if I ever plan to reconnect with my mom or Aaron. And honestly, I don't have dramatic answers. I just know that for the first time in my life, I chose me, out of finally understanding that being the good kid doesn't mean sacrificing your entire self for people who only love the version of you that stays silent. So no, I don't regret it. If anything, I wish I had done it sooner. Now I'm living in a better apartment, got a raise at work, credits slowly climbing back up. Layla and I are actually planning that Spain trip for real this time, Barcelona, tapas, beach walks, the whole thing. And as for Aaron, he's not my responsibility anymore. So yeah, thanks for the gift basket, Aaron. Thanks for listening. Seriously. If you liked the story, don't forget to like, comment, and consider subscribing. And if you've ever had to draw the line with family, even when it hurt, I'd really love to hear from you. We're stronger when we share. Take care.